Hello everyone, so this has been a long time coming. I've been anticipating this movie for a long time, but Ghostbusters Afterlife, I just attended an early screening premiere and oh my goodness, it was a long time coming. I've been very excited for this movie, kind of put in development hell due to, of course, the COVID pandemic and a bunch of other things, but finally releasing, I guess, today on Friday. So this movie clocks in at just a little over 2 hours long, and of course it stars Finn Wolfhard, and there's a bunch of other stars, Part Rudd, that make their way into this movie. So without further ado, let me get into my review for Ghostbusters Afterlife. So, Ghostbusters Afterlife is set in the present day, 2021, and the majority of this movie takes place in a small little town called Somerville. We follow a family who's being evicted from their home, and they find out that their grandfather, in terms of the kid's case, played by Finn Wolfhard, and there's a character named Phoebe, who's their brother and sister, and of course there's the mother, so her father has passed away and they inherit the house. They've run into some debt problems, so this house is kind of their one saving grace in terms of having shelter. And as they start digging through the house and kind of going around the town, they realize that there is a lot of earthquake activity that should not be happening because there's no seismic plates, no volcanoes in the area, just none of these earthquakes should be happening. And Phoebe finds this out through her summer school teacher, which is Paul Rudd's character. But they start rummaging around and they start finding all these old videos of the Ghostbusters and all the proton traps, proton packs, the old Ghostmobile car, if you want to call it that, in the garage that they fix up. And it leads into them finding out that their grandfather was one of the 4 original Ghostbusters. I'm trying my best to be as spoiler-free as possible, so I'm not going to give away that identity or exactly the ways that they tie back to the original film. So I'm going to keep that out of this review, but I just want to say that I loved all the connections to the original films, and especially the town's history and how it relates to the original Ghostbusters film. If you haven't seen any of the original Ghostbusters, I do think that you can go into this movie being pretty damn fine. They do a great job explaining the history and the lore of the Ghostbusters, and especially the first movie. But I do want to say for certain that you should probably, just to get the enjoyment and the nostalgia and just everything out of this movie, you should at the very least watch the first Ghostbusters film, and then there is a tie-in to Ghostbusters 2 in this film as well, but it is a big one, but it's just one kind of little smaller part that's mentioned in this film. So definitely, at the very least, watch the first movie before you go into this one. But I loved how all the gadgets were made like they look straight, exactly like they were from the 80s. And there is, of course, through all those years, the sound of them has been beefed up. Some of the looks too on the car and everything just sound awesome, look awesome, and it just like revs in the whole theater, and you get the classic sounds of course, the proton packs, the siren on the car, and it just made me smile from ear to ear in this film, being able to hear these sounds and see all of these amazing gadgets back in action. And they're just as amazing as they were back in the day now with modern technology. It's just, I was shocked and so happy seeing just how amazing they looked and sounded, and it was just an absolute treat and pleasure to watch the Ghostbusters equipment and everything come to life in this film. And I found that this did have a really good storyline through it, that it is pretty similar to the first Ghostbusters film, but it does it in ways that are just fresh and new while still being nostalgic and true to what Ghostbusters has always been, especially when it comes to the final battle and how events play out in this film. It's just super fun. There's a lot of really fun scenes too when the ghost activity starts really kicking in this film. There's a hilarious scene in a Walmart that happens. Just some of the chase scenes where they're driving around in the car chasing after ghosts is absolutely amazing, and it got me so excited. I bounce when I get excited and start like getting like these little shakes, and I was doing that a ton in this film. It just made me so happy to watch everything play out. It's just in the most amazing and epic way that you could possibly imagine. But I did find that there were a few things in this movie where the third act felt pretty rushed, a little messy as well, just in terms of its pacing. And everything felt a little bit rushed and predictable, but the way it played out was so true, like I was saying, to the events that transpire in the first Ghostbusters film that came out in the 80s. So it saved itself there, but it does feel like the film was rattling as much as the car was when they first found it in this film. Again, I'm trying not to be spoilers as possible, but there is some possession that happens in this film that, again, some people will know how that relates to the first film. And just the voices that they chose to portray these possessed characters was really hard to make out, where it was just a bunch of grumbling and talking like that. Not trying to make this too cheesy, but it was just really tough to make out what they were saying, and I wish that they would have just been able to make those voices still low and grumbly and boom as they were supposed to, but clear in terms of what these characters were saying to one another. But truly, with all this taken together, this was an awesome film. It just made me feel like I was watching the first Ghostbusters for the first time and just getting so excited seeing this lore transpire in amazing, awesome ways. The villains are great in this film. The ghosts are great in this film. The heroes are great. Phoebe is one of my favorite Ghostbusters characters of all time. She's awesome and definitely deserves to wield the proton pack the way that she did in this film. And I do want to say too that there is, kind of like Marvel, there is a mid-credit scene and an after-credit scene that I think everyone should stick around for. The mid-credit scene is more of a comedic thing, but it's awesome. And then the second one is one that sets up for future Ghostbuster movies, and it did it in a way that gets me pretty excited for everything that they can do, and it just made me happy to just see what they're building towards for the future of these films. So I hope this film does really well and they can make more movies. So with all this taken together, I am going to give Ghostbusters Afterlife an 8.5 out of 10. It's absolutely badass. It's so nostalgic. It's so awesome. And yeah, it just made me super happy that Ghostbusters is back. So if you've seen Ghostbusters Afterlife, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. And yeah, if you like this review, definitely give it a thumbs up and check out all the other movie reviews and everything else I do on this channel through my playlist down below, and also links them up top here. Subscribe to the little ring around if you want to know when I upload new videos. If you want to check out everything I do live stream and video game wise, there is a link in the description of this video and on my channel to my Twitch, and there's also a link in both of those places to the Media Mountain, which is my Discord where we talk about movies, video games, comic books, TV, music, pretty much everything that's awesome in this world. So definitely join that amazing community and help make it even more amazing than it is already, and go check out Ghostbusters Afterlife. It is so awesome, and we're seeing in the theaters. It has one of my highest recommendations of the year in terms of movies, and just awesome, guys.